This is part 3 of the most important scaling framework you will ever learn if you're looking to grow an e-commerce business. Every detail from going from 0 to 7 figures and then to multi 8 figures will be broken down into bite-sized action steps using this framework. This is going to be an ongoing series, so make sure you follow along so you don't miss out on the framework that I personally used to drive more than $150 million in revenue. Today's video, we're going to be doing a more in-depth overview of the launch stage, phase, whatever you want to call it. In future videos, we're going to break down each of the steps that are listed here, so make sure you stay tuned. Jumping in to the launch phase. All right. So once you know your product can sell and you're through this little trial phase or the honeymoon phase, it's time to launch your product properly. This is when you start selling a little bit more seriously. You'll keep using the sales methods that worked during the validate phase and add new ones like Google search for your brand or other demand capture terms inside of Google. You're also going to try to make more money from each sale by suggesting additional products or deals at checkout, as well as in post-purchase email flows. Setting up customer service that isn't just wait 5 days to get an email is going to be important here. And getting feedback from customers to make your brand look trustworthy is also extremely important. So this phase is all about getting your product established in the market and building a steady group of customers. So let's jump into it. So launch, like I said, it's about growing your business and making your product known. So the continuing in sales and market expansion section here is essentially about continuing to sell and growing more. We want to continue selling where it's working, and we want to start using Google Ads to get more customers. The next section is the go-to-market plan and strategic partnerships. Essentially, plan how to sell more stuff. We want to make a plan for better sales. We want to use analytics and data to track how customers behave and buy. We want to improve Google search rankings with SEO. We want to create interesting content like blogs or videos to drive customers further down the customer journey pathway. We want to start building an email list so that we can run promotions. And, not a lot of people are going to like this one, the compliance and legal. We want to make sure that we're following the online selling rules because it doesn't matter how much money you make if somebody sues you and takes it all away. All right, on to step number 3. And just to be clear, these don't follow any particular order. They can kind of go in different steps here. These are just the things that happen at the phase of launch. So step 3, building an online presence and community engagement, otherwise known as making your website and presence awesome. So first thing we want to do is have an enhanced website with mobile optimizations. In simpler terms, upgrade your website to have a great look and to be very usable by mobile customers. 75% of people, if not more, are now using their phones to make purchases. So making sure that the experience is awesome on a phone is incredibly important. So social media engagement. We want to start becoming active on social media. We want to be able to build a community. We want to be able to build trust. If somebody looks up your brand, they don't want to see, 10 people have liked this. It's just not conducive to somebody making a purchase if there's no social proof. So be active on social media, grow your fan base, and listen and act on customer feedback that's going to be happening there. There's going to be people that are going to be saying good things. There's going to be people that are saying bad things. And the great things about people who complain, they're typically the loudest and noisiest. So if you can go in there and change their perception of the experience they had with your brand, you have the opportunity to make a huge raving fan who will also be as loud about how great you are. And then the last thing here is customer feedback and reviews. So we want to be actively collecting user feedback. Typically use a tool like Stamped or Yotpo, or there's a ton of these, and they essentially email the customer, probably a couple weeks after they receive the product, and they ask for feedback. You can incentivize reviews if that's something that suits your fancy, but this is going to be fantastic because this will generally sit on your website, and some of the content can be mined for copy in the future. It can be mined and reviewed for what types of products people want, things, product improvement, all sorts of stuff. Anyways, on to number 4. One of the ones that a lot of people, or marketers specifically, don't love: operational infrastructure and efficiency, otherwise known as organize your business well. So we want to develop operational SOPs. Basically, we want to set up good systems for smooth operations. We want to, if you have to think and figure out how to do something every time you do it, first of all, you're not going to have consistent output because every time it's going to be done differently. You're never going to be able to delegate it. So this is why you need to start setting up your SOPs early. And then, inventory can be a huge bottleneck. Like, I know businesses that were absolutely killing it during COVID, and they couldn't, like, their inventory went so quickly, and they had their product made somewhere that was overseas, and there was competition going after the same manufacturer, and they're going to go to whoever's putting in the biggest PO first. So if you need to make sure you have a way to track your inventory and signal to you when you need to get more inventory. Otherwise, you're not going to stay in business long. Also, inventory takes a lot of cash, so making sure that you have your ducks in a row there is super important. And then shipping and fulfillment. Like, it's one thing in the beginning stages to either ship from the comfort of your kitchen or use drop shipping. But in the long haul, if you don't have a facility to do your own shipping, and even if you do, it might not be worth it because there's a ton of labor that needs to be done here, as well as people management. But shipping and fulfillment, finding a third-party logistics partner to run your shipping for you, a lot of times it actually pays for itself to just work with a 3PL, because since they move so much volume and ship so many products, oftentimes they get a discount that you don't have access to shipping things yourself. So sometimes you could basically offload the cost of shipping without any incremental cost to your business because you're leveraging the 3PL's discounts to offset it. Step number 5, customer engagement and retention, or in simpler terms, keep customers coming back. So we've got AOV and LTV boosters and cross-channel marketing. So what do I mean by AOV and LTV boosters? Basically, offer more at the time of purchase. So whether that's pre-purchase in-cart upsells or post-purchase upsells, we want to offer more items to the customer at those points. And if you sell something and you don't have additional product lines, which chances are you're not if you're following this methodology to a T, you can sell them more of what they've already purchased, especially if it's something consumable. You'd be surprised how much easier it is to sell more of what they've already bought because they've already made all the buying decisions than it is to try to convince them to buy something else. We also want to start to build out a post-purchase email sequence. So we want to engage with them via email after they're buying. So we want to, parts of that will include things like, teaching them about the brand, teaching them about, if you have some sort of positive impact on something, you can make the sale about how they're changing. For us with True Earth, it's about joining the True Earth movement. When you buy our product, you're not just buying laundry detergent, you are also helping reduce plastic waste, which is going to have so many positive impacts on the planet. So you're not just buying laundry detergent. It's not a decision you need to feel guilty about because the output is more than just a product. It's also how you're impacting the world. And then this cross-channel marketing. So this is just more like, especially if you have a bunch of different agencies who are running different things for you, you want to try to keep your messaging kind of similar. I'm not saying that you need to be this brand advocate that lines everything up and everything needs to be perfect, but making sure that the messaging is the same across the channels so that when you have a promo, it goes across all channels, and people see it on one, they see it on another. And then you basically have the entire unit moving together to make a sale versus having mixed match messaging or mixed matched branding. Step number 6, product and service enhancement. All right, so this part, we're basically looking to continually refine product and services based on customer feedback. We're going to regularly analyze our KPIs for strategic adjustment, and we want to make sure that we're tracking NPS. So if you don't know what NPS is, it's implementing a net promoter score to measure customer service or customer satisfaction and loyalty. This is like a tool that's as old as time. Basically, a survey gets sent to a customer after a certain amount of time and asks how satisfied they were with the product and how likely they are to refer the product to a friend. This is important to track over time, especially if you make changes to your product, because you want to see if there's some sort of like actual data showing that things are getting better. But the goal here really is to improve your product based on customers' opinions. I bought a pair of shoes once from a friend of mine's shoe company, and I got a blister on the back of my foot. I reached out to him. I said, "Oh man, I got this crazy blister." And he's like, "You know what's funny?" He's like, "You're not the only person that got that blister." And we actually had to change the product and update it really early on in the process. And we were able to correct it before millions and millions of people had these shoes. So it's stuff like that. Like if you're not listening to your customer feedback and then testing whether or not what they say is true, you're potentially opening yourself up for long-term challenges. Another example, when we first launched True Earth, we actually had a recyclable plastic package, which we didn't want, but the manufacturer said it had to be done. And then it wound up getting so much feedback from consumers that we had to go and essentially invent a new format of envelope that could also be doubled as a shipping package or shipping envelope, and customers loved it. Step 7 is brand development. I kept it simple here. I'm not a hardcore brand guy. I think it's important as you get larger, especially when you're omni-channel and you want people to remember you. But when you're primarily D2C, this is mostly about building out a document that you can hand over to agencies. Here's our colors. Here's how our logo should appear. Here's how our logo shouldn't appear. Here's the general benefit statements of our product. Here are the things you can say and you can't say. It just creates one easy place for them to find all the information that they need to do their jobs. And step number 8, strategic decision-making for growth. That is, decide how to grow. This is basically, when this is all rolled out, you need to determine how you're going to check your progress and plan for new products and markets. This is kind of the step where you need to evaluate everything that's going on. And if you're happy with how it's going, start moving to the next phase for this particular product, which would be optimize. Oh, and I just remembered one other thing that probably should have been up here in continuing sales and market expansion. I meant to put in here, if it warrants it, begin selling your product on Amazon. There's 20 to 30% of people who will only purchase your product on Amazon. So they just refuse to buy from direct-to-consumer brands. They do their online shopping at Amazon. So by not having them in your mix, you just lose out on 20 to 30% of free revenue. So if you've proven that your product works and you're going to this phase, I would highly recommend putting it on Amazon as well. Anyways, I went 3 times as long as I had planned in this video. If you liked it, make sure you follow along for future videos. The next one in the queue is going to be part 4, which is going to be talking about the optimize stage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.